What is fascism? Fascism is a complex ideology. It can be described as a type or set of political actions, a political philosophy, or a mass movement. Most definitions agree that fascism is authoritarian and promotes nationalism at all costs. The term fascism comes from the word fasces, an axe tightly secured with sticks. Fascism is the attitude of giving full interest in economic, social, and military power to a dominant race or state led by a single dominant leader. Fascism basically rejected the idea of socialism, capitalism, and democracy. Fascisms are single-party dictatorships characterized by terrorism and police surveillance. It focuses on ethnicity and one race being superior over the other. Fascism is commonly associated with German Nazi and Italian regimes that came to power after World War I, though several other countries have experienced fascist regimes or elements of them. Fascism had the largest effect on Italy and Germany. Benito Mussolini was the first leader of the fascist party in Italy. In October 1922, Mussolini led the fascists on a march on Rome. Widespread social discontent, aggravated by middle-class fear of a socialist revolution and by disappointment over Italy's limited gains from the peace settlement after World War I, created an atmosphere favorable for Mussolini's rise to power. On October 24, 1922, the fascist party leaders planned an insurrection to take place on October 28th. The fascist armed squads, known as Black Shirts, and the capture of strategic local places throughout Italy. Waiting in Milan for the outcome of events, Mussolini left the work of organization to his subordinates. To meet the threat posed by the bands of fascist troops now gathering outside Rome, the government ordered a state of siege for Rome. King Victor Emmanuel III, however, refused to sign the order. This meant that the army which might have stopped Mussolini was not called on to oppose the fascists. Now confident of his control over events, he was determined to accept nothing less than control of the government. Later on, the king asked him to form a cabinet. He arrived in Rome before the actual entry of the fascist forces. As prime minister, he organized a triumphant parade for his followers to show the fascist party's support for his rule. The March on Rome was not the conquest of power that Mussolini later called it, but rather a transfer of power within the framework of the Constitution, a transfer made possible by the surrender of public authorities in the face of fascist intimidation. Fascist governments controlled the way people lived. Those who criticized the government or did not obey were punished. They were forced to leave the country, go to prison, and were often executed. Fascist leaders wanted to make their state strong and powerful. They claimed that only the strongest and fittest of the population can survive. With the help of a strong army, they could go to war and expand their territory.